Hello, I am Dr. Marci Lynn Jackson, and welcome to my page. And for those of you who have joined me before, welcome back to my page. Listen, the work that we do here, we do with you in mind. We consult the Lord about where He is with His people and what He wants you to know. And we want to be able to convey that message to you and make sure that you know that you are loved. So, this week, I have something to tell you. And it may be hard to hear, but stay tuned because it is a message from on high for you. All right, I got something to tell you guys, and listen, it is from on high. I was just in my daily movement, and a message had come across that I saw that all women's basketball team, they have this campaign going on that says, let them talk until they can't. And I realized, Lord, there's a place where I think it's a stillness that happens in your life where everything just stands still, and you will come into the realization that you are in an answered prayer. You are in a place or a space where you've prayed for something, and it may have took a while, it may have tarried, but when you're with God, there are times where you'll move into that place and not even realize that, oh my goodness, things have changed. Positions have changed. My surroundings have changed. And wait a minute, I am now standing in the middle of my Goshen, in the middle of what I've prayed for. And then you'll find yourself saying, well, now what? You celebrate, there are some victories that are huge and you're like, yay, thank you, Jesus. And you're praising God for what He has done. And then you stand and you look around and you're like, okay, so now what? What happened on your way there? You had naysayers. You had Satan going to and fro in the earth, seeking whom he may devour. And what happens in those times when in that time span of you getting to that blessing, people didn't anticipate you actually getting there. And I am not a proponent of worrying about what people have to do with anything that I have to do with. However, you are surrounded by a community, and in your community is salt and pepper. It's sprinkled a little pepper and a little salt. And so you can't help but to be around people who may not be excited about you being there and hinder you, or try to hinder you. And I think that a lot of that happens around you are called, to me, they're like energy killers, and just suck up your energy and drain your energy from you enjoying the space that you're in. But for a lot of us, some of these blessings that God has called us to, there's work to do when you get there. And a lot of the times that training ground or that process that you went through, that trial that you went through was your training ground, so that when you got to that blessing, you'd have enough muscle to flex and do the things that you needed to do. You'd have enough strength to do it. But you had these energy killers along the way. And so what I realized, I didn't really follow that basketball team, but I would get little snippets of it. And I realized that they were underdogs, just like we are in our lives, where people did not anticipate you actually achieving your blessing or your goal, or to get to where you needed to be. Some of you may have wanted to be married, and you look up and boom, now you're married. You may have wanted a promotion on your job, and you look up and, oh my goodness, now I got this promotion and I'm standing in it, or you may wanted to reconcile with family members, and wait a minute, now I'm here, we're talking, we're fellowshipping, we're spending time together. And so you're in this space that it is an answered prayer for you, and you don't want to fumble, right? You don't want to lose ground of where you are. And so it is a now what at this time. And I want to share something with you. If I were to look at the outline of Joseph in Genesis 37 through 50, that was his a span in the Bible where he went, from favoritism and the coat of many colors. And he shared that story with his brothers, right? Do you remember that? And him sharing that story with his brothers, it offended them. And they were not happy about that. And they started a chain of events in his life that sent him, they tried to kill him, actually, that sent him into slavery and sent him into this, on this path that actually led him to what he saw and what he was telling them about. But I want to talk about the place where he actually rose to power, where he got there. And when he was there, it was because he had the ability to interpret Pharaoh's dreams that led him to become the governor of Egypt. And he was responsible for preparing for the famine. He had skills to do that. He had the patience and the wherewithal to do that. And what helped him do that was all the trials that he went through. But then he became unrecognizable to his brothers. Because of that famine, they were brought before him, and he was unrecognizable. In that answered prayer, you're going to become unrecognizable. When you change your life, when you want to go in a different direction, when you want to accelerate above those who you are around, and you now are in this answered prayer, you become unrecognizable to those who you were with. And the thing that happens is they become jealous, envious. Even some of them go into strife, and then they start to suck your energy. My message to you today that the Lord wants you to know is to let them do all of those things. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to change it. You can pray for them, but you do not try to get involved with them being okay with who you are in this stage in your life, with them being okay with where you are, right? Because everybody, time and chance happens to us all. There was a comment that I read on social media about a project that I was working on with one of my sisters, and I had a t-shirt on that said God's favorite. And the young lady said in the comment that God does not have favorites. And I said, I beg to differ, because if you look at Joseph, if you look at David, if you look at Solomon, if you look at Abraham, he called them from among those that they were with, and he dealt with them. And I wanted to share this with you. Let me pull this up. I mean, you're not trying to make anyone feel bad, but God, he isn't a respecter of person. However, he is who he is. He's God, and he's sovereign, and he chooses to work with who he chooses to work with. And if you are not, you may not be a part of that based on your heart position with him. And I wanted to share that. I want to share with you what favorite means. Let me pull that definition up. Okay. I shared this. I'm going to just read the comment, right? She said God doesn't have any favorites. But I want to share with you, favorite means preferred before all others of the same kind. And I said to her, Joseph, David, Abram, turn to Abraham, all were preferred before all others of the same kind. There were many others as well. Now, what made them favorite, that was up to God. I believe, and scripture says, that it was because they preferred God, and it was their heart posture for God, their obedience to God, their love and reverence and worship for God. And what happened, what's caused them to be in that position, to be favored by God, was because of how they loved him and how they obeyed him. And so I say that to say this, is that as God, as one of his favorite, as one of his obedient ones, usually the ones that actually get to where they're going, they were obedient to the process. And that's not always easy to do, because one of the things that I learned about Jesus, when he calls you his friend, sometimes you are asked to do things as a friend that you may not want to do. A friend may call in a favor from you and say, hey sis, can you pick up my daughter for me? And it may be a little inconveniencing for you, but because you love your friend, you do it. Or, hey friend, will you go to this seminar with me? I don't want to go alone. And you hate seminars. hearts, but you don't want your friend to be alone. So you do it. You understood the assignment. The assignment is to be the companion, right? And so you do it. And so that's what Jesus is saying when he calls you a friend. There are things that he's called you to do, in this process or your trial, that you stick it out and you obey him in it. Abram, hey, leave where you are and go where I'm going to tell you to go when you are on your way. He became favored by God because of that. Joseph, he became favored by God. God showed him, I'm going to favor you. I'm going to favor you because you're going to go through trials, and I'm going to be with you, and you're going to listen to me, and you're going to stay in it. You're going to do the right thing. When Potiphar's wife was coming after him, he did the right thing, and he suffered for it. However, he still did the right thing, obedient to that process, and that caused him to be favored. And it also caused him to see the reality of that dream, the answered prayer, that he now is in Goshen and had been called to leadership. And so what happens is he had to, when he came up and his brothers came before him, and he was unrecognizable to them. They did not know who he was because his trial had matured him and changed him. He was different. He was not that little weak and feeble boy that they mistook him as. He now is the governor, and his subjects are referencing him and reverencing him. And his brothers, they didn't recognize Joseph, and they pled with him for food. And Joseph tests them to see if they had changed. It's one of those things that, I know how you feel about me. I know that you wouldn't want me to be here. You were probably a part of why I went through some of the trials that I had gone through. That could even be your mate, your spouse, your best friend. It could be people around you that are very close to you that you wouldn't even suspect. You would think that on the journey or in that process that they would hold your hand and walk with you through it, but they don't do that. And so now you just have to let them be, until they can't anymore, right? And so Joseph's his revelation and forgiveness, he finally reveals his identity to his brothers, and he forgives them for their past actions, inviting his family to settle in Egypt, in Goshen, in the place of comfort and ease. Let me say this. When you get to that place of that answered prayer, and those around you may not have gotten to the place of their answered prayer, sometimes we have a tendency to feel guilty. We have a tendency maybe to even harbor or hold on to past hurts and wounds that they may have caused us. In this place, you let them be. You let them be where they are. You pray for them because you still have an assignment to do for your friend, Jesus. And you have to walk that out. So you operate in forgiveness. You make sure that your hands and your heart, they are clean and pure, because the word still stands that who shall ascend to the hills of the Lord? Who will do that? Who's going to do that? Those of us with clean hands and heart, that we can't go before the Lord with sin. We have to make sure that we are in right standing with him. And so in order for us to do that, we can't have, it's like we can't have those sticky things that remain, those residual sticky things that remain on us as we move through our adversity. We have to leave those things behind. We have to let those people go sometimes so that we will be able to fulfill our assignment. And guess what? You will fulfill your assignment, because greater is he that's in you than he who is in this world. And I cannot explain it enough. The place of answered prayers is that you sometimes have to let go of and let them be and move forward. And guess what? In doing that, God is going to make sure that you will become more than a conqueror. Just getting to the assignment is that you conquered, but you are called to be more than that. So don't try to hold on to things that you've had to pass through. Don't try to bring people with you. Be obedient to the Lord and remain his favorite, and let them talk. Let them be. Let them be who they are. Your prayers, the effectual fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much, and you take them to the altar in prayer, and you move forward and you be obedient to the Lord, because you have much work to do. There are people who are waiting on you. If Joseph did not go through his trials like he did with grace, if he didn't go to the pit, if he didn't go to prison, if he didn't go through all of the things that he went through during that famine, he was the one with the expertise. That's why he was appointed governor. He was the one. And as they went through that famine, it was because of his expertise that the land flourished and that his family were delivered. All right? So be obedient to the Lord and let them. All right? All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm here every Monday. Listen, share this word if it resonated with you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell so that you could get the notifications. I am here every Monday. I want to make sure that in this Christian walk, you are equipped with what you need so that you can run on and see what the end's going to be. All right? I'm Dr. Marci Lynn Jackson, and I will see you next Monday.